Our next question today is from Lindsay. Lindsay says, one of the things that has been holding me back is concern about legal issues. So I have two parts to this question. Number one, how do you protect yourself from concerns over copyright issues? If a course offers advice that is similar to other information someone puts out in a book, for instance, can the person sue you for copyright infringement? I'm obviously not copying someone else, but there are times where my advice may parallel another person's advice. So, how similar is too similar? Also, I have trademarked my business name and submitted my ebook for copyright, but I'm wondering what other legal issues I may need to consider. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, copyright is happens as soon as you release something. Like it's just automatic. You I don't
You don't have to
you
apply for
you don't have to apply for
anything.
anything. Now, trademark you do, which is good that you've already done that. That's fine. We own a couple trademarks ourselves to protect our brand. We had like a little issue. HGTV was using some of our lingo, and like we made sure we filed for trademarks and stuff to protect that. So that's good. But copyright, if you write a book, it's copyright protected. Like anything that's created is copyright
The
protected.
minute it comes out of your mouth
Yeah,
or that you write it, it
it's
is
protected.
protected.
There's no like applying for it. If I'm sure there's people online that tell you like they need to apply something, but don't worry about that. But like as for worrying about you copying someone else, as long as you're not copying someone else, just do it. Like all information is known by somebody. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure every textbook in America says Abraham Lincoln is the 16th president, just like our lesson plans do. But that doesn't matter, right? Even if you're teaching something that someone else knows, there's a thing called free. What's it called?
Fair
Fair
use.
use. There's a thing called fair use, where information that's out there in the public and the general knowledge can be packaged in different ways. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to tell you never to worry about anything, but just write some terms and conditions and go make your content. As long as you're not copying someone, as long as you're not trying to be similar to someone and violate their trademarks and violate the way they're doing things, just be you, just do your thing. Nothing out there is not being taught by somebody else in some way. Like I don't care what niche you're in, I don't care what subject you're in. You may think that you're the only person that's ever done it in a certain way, but somebody's probably done it the same way you're doing it. The difference is your personality, the difference is your organization, the difference is your curation, the difference is your style. And that's you. And they can't copy that. So, we hear this fear a lot. We worried about it a lot, but I assure you that the copyright ninja of the planet, Jocelyn over here, who really always worries about, because she was a librarian. That was a big issue. We don't want to copy anybody on anything, but there's nothing new under the sun, and you can just package it up and present it, and just don't copy people, and you're fine.
So, what I've always done, like on lesson plans, on materials, I mean, there are no lesson plans that haven't been done in some form or fashion. Basically, it's just the same type of information. You're just putting a little bit of spin on it. So, what I would do is I would just always use things as a model. So, I would look up some type of worksheet and, maybe that particular piece of work was on the presidents and instead I would do it on the states of the United States. I
Or
just change
something,
it a little
right?
bit to make it my own.
Yeah.
So, just be cautious. Don't directly copy someone, but if you're using something as a guideline, as a model, and putting your own spin on it.
I think people get confused between plagiarizing and copyright. Okay, like copyright is really not that big a deal. Like you go out and make your own thing. You don't try to, but like you said, information is generally available in certain things. Like if you teach someone how to fix a Ford truck, like the engine works a certain way. If you do a YouTube video that shows someone how to change the oil on a Ford truck, and someone else has already done a video on how to change the oil on a Ford truck, that's not copyright. It's copyright that they did the video and that they did it their own thing, but that's
So
not
if
the
you
same thing.
posted their video and said this is my video, then
Yes,
yes, that's a
that's a
violation of copyright.
violation, like because you're stealing something from someone
If
else,
you
or
transcribed their exact video and presented it in the exact way they presented
as
it.
an ebook, that would be plagiarizing, right? That's where people get in trouble. That's what's bad. That's stealing. But like if you teach the same thing, like if I teach you how to swim, well, the United States Lifeguard Association doesn't have a patented way to teach people how to swim or whatever. They might write a book that would be copyright protected, so you can't just go write it word for word and steal their pictures. Okay. Or they did the work to take the pictures. So you may have to go take new pictures. But there's a difference in plagiarizing and copywriting, right? So, don't get too caught up into this, guys. And if here's the deal. Even in everything you ever create, if it ever became an issue and someone said, hey, this isn't a direct copy, this looks like a direct copy of what I did. Well, just take it down and do something else like that. Deal with these problems when they show up, and be precautious and don't steal things. And they'll probably never. I've never heard of anyone that this is a problem with in our entire business. So just
And
do
if
your
something
thing. Do
does
your
come
thing.
up, just deal with it when it comes up.
That's right.
Most
Don't
of the
invent ghosts.
time, people are not going to spend the time and energy to fight a small business over something.
It's hard enough to create a successful online business and run it on a day-to-day basis without thinking of every contingency of everything that could ever go wrong, period, ever. Right? Like, and that's, I feel like we're really kind of leaning into that territory here of worrying about every word that comes out of your lips or your fingertips is going to be copyright violated by somebody else. But you're not really doing that. You're not really doing anything like that. So you got your trademarks, write your stuff, and if it ever becomes a problem, deal with it. It's probably not going to become a problem.
Yeah, Tanya says I often add derived from blank. I've done the same thing. So on some of my worksheets, I might say modeled after this, or
You can cite things like with actual like MLA citation. Is it MLA? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. It's been a long time. But
yeah, like APA is
APA and all
one.
that
Yeah.
stuff. Like you can cite things if you want to help you. Make sure you give credit where credit is due. Um, but usually things you create is just things you create. So create it. Don't copy, and you'll be fine.
All right. The next question today is from Eva. Eva says, I was wondering if you could delve into the topic of creating urgency with your offer versus always being open. I know you guys advised me last time to become prolific with my webinars and $1 trials, but there's so much emphasis on creating urgency as a means of pushing potential members through the door and converting them to paying customers. It almost sounds like becoming prolific with my webinars and creating urgency are two conflicting strategies, and I need to choose one over the other. How does one figure out the right strategy for them and rectify these two seemingly important yet conflicting strategies?
Okay, I love this question. This is a great question. It's a question that Jocelyn and I often find ourselves at odds with other people about, like especially people we mastermind with, people on other podcasts, because it goes back to everybody's looking for the magic trick. Everybody's looking for the sleight of hand. You hear all these gurus say, well, I put a timer on my thing and I counted down to 0 and everybody ran out. That's fine. You can put timers in. Timers do work. They do create urgency, right? You can create scarcity, right? You can say, hey, this week, this webinar, I'm only letting 25 people in my community, right? And then next, the doors will open back up next week. But if you want to get in today, I'm letting 20 people in. Like that creates scarcity, right? But what Jocelyn and I have always done, okay, is we've figured out alternative ways besides our core offer to create scarcity and urgency. The first way we do that is with our marketing, right? When we talk about like the Flip Livestock podcast, when we talk about the Flip Your Life community, I don't focus on the urgency to do it now because the timer is going to run out. I talk about the urgency and like, you hate your job. You have a cruel boss. You want to spend more time with your kids. Your kids are getting older. That's the urgency, right? When we talk about urgency in the education field, if I send an email out on Sunday night and you're a teacher and you haven't done anything all weekend and you got a class the next morning, you have built-in urgency. What you really want to look for in all of your markets and all of your niches is the built-in urgency in your people that you're selling to about their thing, right? If you've got a like today, I'm going on a boat trip and I needed to learn how to pull jet skis, right? So I had an urgency because I'm going out on a lake tomorrow to figure out how to pull jet skis behind a boat, right? So I had to go find that information now. I would have probably paid for it. I went to the store and I bought the ropes that I learned how I needed. I bought the clips. I had urgency built into what I was doing because it was about me. It was about my life. And that's what all of your marketing should do is look at your customer. What is their urgency? Why do they need this today? Okay. The problem that people get into is everybody's got a different day or a different thing or a different time. You don't know when the urgency is. That's why we don't do the webinar, the timer, the whatever. We have our doors always open. So when it's urgent for you, you see that in our marketing and then you'll go buy it, right? So that's the first thing that you've got to look for. The second thing is to create alternative products for your scarcity. Our membership is always open. You can always go get a free trial. You can always pay monthly, and you can always do that. It's always there to join monthly, right? But The only time that you can get a special deal is like on a webinar or something. So that might be an annual plan. Like right now, the public price, if you went and joined today at Flip Lifestyle, you're going to pay $149 a month. So anybody paying less than that, because you joined earlier, you got a deal right now. But every once in a while, we'll offer a discount on the annual price of about half that. But that would be how we would create scarcity with our pricing. It wouldn't be, we don't put our monthly membership on sale. We don't put our monthly membership on whatever. Like it is what it is. But like you can create other things. We've done a quarterly plan at times where it's like, because what we do is we want to reward commitment. That's a great way in your membership to create scarcity is say, look, this is $100 a month or whatever, but I'll do $200 for a quarter. So you're going to get a deal, but you're going to commit up front and there's no refunds. It's a no refund deal. You're burning the boats. You're moving forward. You're committing to your success. You're committing to our program, but we are going to reward that commitment with a discount, but we're going to remove something else. Right. So that's a way you can create some scarcity. It's why we love the membership model, because you can reward commitment and offer discounts on prices without affecting your core offer. I do not like random timers every week and always discounting your main core offer price 50% and always doing those things. So this is not an easy puzzle to figure out. Like you have to figure out how to create urgency and scarcity without being shady about it and being dishonest and straight lying. There's a lot of people out there just straight lie. They just straight lie and say, this is $1,000 today and it'll never be offered again. And then they have another webinar next week and they offer it for $1,000. You can't do that. You got to figure out other ways to do it. So how we do it is we look for urgency and scarcity in the market. What makes it urgent for the person who's actually searching for that thing today? That's all you need. And then reward people with longer commitments and things off of your core offer.
And I think this goes back again to which one is the easy button, which one is the magic pill. There's not one. Like we can tell you to do one thing, somebody else can tell you to do something else. Both of them would probably work. So you have to figure out what is the best answer for your audience. What do they need? And provide them with the strategy that makes the most sense for your offer and your audience.
And we've always found the best way to do this, and this is something we talk about in a lot of our courses, especially the avatar and offer training, is you've got to know your people's calendar. If you know your customer's calendar, then you have all the information you need to create scarcity for them because you know why they need something now. The problem is everybody thinks you make one offer, one sales page, one webinar, one ad, and I'm going to get rich. And that's not how it works. You're constantly in the trenches figuring out where your people are, what your people are doing, and why it's scarce today. Like this, you may do the same webinar, but your pitch may sound a little different next week, right? But maybe one month you have a Black Friday sale, the next month you have a Christmas sale. You can have sales like that. That creates urgency. It's the same discount, but it's just on a different day, right? If you know someone needs something now, then you can present that they need it now. Like that's why goal setting courses. What's the guy that does the 12-week year? What's that guy? Whatever his name is, the guy wrote a book called the 12-week year or something. Every year, December and January is all about New Year's resolutions and goal setting courses because it's top of mind in the marketplace. Be top of mind in the marketplace. Don't use the fear of a clock as your only way to create urgency, and people will react faster to your offer.
Our next question today is from Jen. She says, "The last 2 months, none of my almost 30 members have attended my live monthly Q&A member calls. I'm going to email my members and ask what they want the call to look like or if it's just a scheduling issue. Do you have advice on ways I can structure the call? I did it similar to how you have yours set up, but in Zoom. I wanted to give them some ideas of what it could look like in order to get them thinking about what they want."
Every market's different. Like we know some people that they do all their calls on their Facebook groups because for their market, that's where they could get people to show up. Some people do them on YouTube Live because that's where they could get their people to show up. We do ours in a membership because we can get people to show up in the membership.
And what you
So
have to remember is, I mean, right now you have 30 members, and those 30 people have a very full schedule. So it's not probably that they don't want to attend, it's just that they have things going on that might prevent them from attending. One thing that we try to do each month is we try to rotate the times of our calls
Yeah.
because we have people all over the world. So sometimes, like noon is a really bad time for our Australian people because right now it's like 2 a.m. over there. So that's not a great time for them. But sometimes we do 9 a.m., sometimes we do 9 p.m. We just rotate it around so that way we have a chance for more people to be able to participate.
Yeah. So you can do all kinds of little tricks like that. I love the first thing out of your mouth was, let me go ask my people what they need and what they want. That's the best way because every avatar is different. The people that follow us, the people that follow you, the people that follow anyone else in this room, everybody's on a different schedule. What if you're in a niche where everybody works second shift, right? If that's true, then 9 p.m. would be a terrible time because everybody would be at work, right? But for us, 9 p.m. is usually a good time because we have a lot of 9 to 5ers and we have people on the other side of the world. So we try to hit that 9 p.m. call about every third, member call.
And I want to say also, make sure that you're doing a good job of internal marketing. Sending one email to people telling them there's a member call, that is not all you need to do. Maybe of those 30 people, maybe 10 people open that email. So the
Yeah.
other 20 people might not even have known about it. Make sure that you're posting it on your Facebook page. You are sending out an email.
It's in what we stick when we schedule these calls, we stick them on the top of every forum in the entire community, so that people know there's a member call. And that's why we have good
When you
turnout.
still have a small membership, send them a personalized video. Do a use Loom and say, "Hey, Shane, I just wanted to let you know that I'm having a member call tomorrow. I can't wait to see you there. This is how you get there. Here's the link. If you have any questions, let me know." Well, you still have a small enough email list where you or a small enough membership where you can do that.
And also too, like, I don't know when your member calls are, and I'm not saying you do this, but I have seen other people do this. There's a lot of really jank bunk information out there. And really, like, it's really, really bad advice. People are like, well, it's your life. And you schedule calls when you want to have calls, and you do this and you do that. And that's not how it should work. The reason we rotate the calls is because when Jocelyn and I have a meeting and we're looking at our calendar, we're like, man, the only way we can serve certain people is if we have a 9 p.m. call. We need to do that, right? If it doesn't fit in your schedule, you need to fit it in your schedule. That's just the way it is. Like, if your people say, man, I'd really like for you to do this at 10 o'clock. It's the best time for me is 10 p.m. on a Monday. That may be a horrible time. And I'm not saying you got to do that every week, but you need to, if you want to serve people and you want people to send you money for your service, then you got to meet them in the middle. And I really get so fed up with all these entrepreneurs that are all over Facebook and their podcast. And they're like, it's just me, 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 me. It's like, well, I don't have time for that, or I shouldn't be doing that, or you should never, bow to their wishes, or you can't be emailing everybody back, and all these things. Like, you can't do that. You have to serve your people, and you do have control over that. But if it ain't working, you got to find what works. So you may have to do it at a time you don't want to. Sometimes that's just the way it is. It's 12 o'clock right now. This is a really convenient time for us, but our next one, the next member call that we do will probably be at 3, and then the one after that will be at 9 p.m. And it might be on a Sunday night, you know? And we just got kids ready and we got school the next morning. But hey, we have to do that because we have a very large Australian and contingent. We've got a lot of people in Eastern Asia and stuff like that in our membership. And there's a lot of people that work during the day and they can't be at this 12 o'clock call. So they need the 9 p.m. call. I'm doing a call tonight for Flip Your Life Nashville people. And I do those at 9 p.m. because I know that's most convenient for everybody in that group. So, you might have to find different times, and it may not be the best time for you. But, if it's the best time for 100 people who are paying you $50 a month, sometimes you got to make a little sacrifice to make it work. So,
Yeah, and Tanya says, ask what questions they need answered. I agree with that. Maybe even give them a preview. Say, hey, my member Tanya has asked this great question that is ABC. If you want to know the answer to this question, come to the member call and come with your own question. I'll be happy to help.
teaser trailer kind of deal. That's a
Yeah.
really good idea.
Just make sure that you're doing a good job of that because sometimes people might not ever come to a member call. Like if it were me and was in a membership, I've been in a couple of different memberships, and some of them I go to the calls, and some of them I don't. Maybe it's just that I don't have a question. Maybe I'm not available at that time. Some people just don't do calls, and that's fine. Or some people are lurkers. If you're a lurker on this call right now, say hello
Oh,
in the
there are
chat.
more. I'm watching the stats right now. There are many more people watching this video than there are actually talking in the chat room. And that's just the way it always goes. So, Your member call may turn into like a member Q&A video. Don't don't be a slave to the way we do things either, or the way you're doing things now. You should always be willing to change. For example, what if your thing became a video and people could email you their questions and you just sent everybody in the whole group a video and you answered them on a video, right? Now you're doing a member call, but now you're making it more convenient for your people, right? Same thing's happening. I love the live interaction. We love this environment, but you don't have to do it that way if it's not working. Find something that works. Okay.